Can the average climber go from V4 to V9 in 1 year? I spent the last 365 days trying to answer this question. This turned out to be one of the toughest years of my life, but I was willing to go all out for my dream. 5 years ago, I started climbing and it changed me. I was obsessed, climbing 6 days a week. I would watch videos of epic climbs, waiting for the day that I could climb them too, but that day never came. It's been 2 years since I hit my peak in climbing, and this last year, I barely climbed at all. I'm weak, I'm stiff, and I'm not getting any younger. But I just moved to a new city, and this is the perfect chance to start over. Stay till the end for a little surprise. My first day back climbing, I felt rusty as It's been a long time, my fingers hurt, my knees were creaking. I'm okay at a few things, but there's a lot of work to do. I wanted to get back into shape, so I tried some YouTube exercises, but I was kind of lost. This is not going anywhere. I started climbing 3 times a week, mobility every single day, and on Saturdays, I would do a little bit of calisthenics. Over the first few weeks, I got rid of the rust and felt more confident, made a bunch of new friends that would be a big key to my success. My mobility was improving, and even people around me noticed that my grades were going up. I got used to the wall angles and the style of this new gym. My body started doing everything right on its own. 2 months passed, and now I'm climbing V5s and aiming for V6s. Back in Argentina, at my peak, I could do V5s, so I was excited to break into new territory. I started going harder and harder and climbing even more often with my stronger friends. My technique wasn't as good as them, but I could pull harder, and I finally sent my first V6. But that's when it happened. I tweaked it. The nagging pain on the inside of my elbow, and it's not the first time. I was finally improving, and now this. Great. I tried climbing while managing the pain for 2 weeks, but I felt like I was gonna break. I took a week off climbing. Getting hurt is the fastest way to get stuck in climbing. I have to change my climbing style. I came up with a new plan. Raise my floor with one clear rule. Climb well, not strong. For 5 weeks, I was going to focus exclusively on slabs, something I used to hate, but I had to get good, otherwise I was never going to improve. My mobility got much better, and I changed my stiff outdoor climbing shoes to a pair of soft ones. Thanks to my newfound confidence on slabs, my levels skyrocketed. Who would have thought you get better at what you practice? Don't tell anyone, but I actually kind of enjoy slabs now. There's something about doing something that looks impossible and that you can't muscle through. But sometimes it's still a bit scary. I became aware of my legs while climbing on other angles too. For the first time ever, my leg muscles hurt after climbing. And finally, my elbow was healed. I went back to my normal climbing schedule, always following the golden rule. Climb well, not strong. Thanks to this, I started flashing a few V5s and got several V6s. My elbow felt strong, but I still couldn't climb V7. I saw stronger climbers doing them all the time, and I thought it was impossible for me, until one day I got a text. So with the help of my friend, I started projecting. He showed me that the climb needed a lot more attention to detail. The holds were shallow pinches with some odd bumps that made it really hard to hold on. I wanted to squeeze, but my fingers weren't in the right places. He told me how to place my fingers to get the most out of them. If I just smeared a little bit higher up on the left, it was enough to balance me to not barn door off. I did the crux. Now just don't drop it. Squeeze really hard and stay on. And it finally happened. After a few sessions, I finally got my first V7. And then my second, and then my third. In 3 weeks, I had 3 V7s. I was really happy with my gains, but now is the time to go harder. In my gym, V8 is the difference between being a good climber and a great one. I upped my training schedule to 4 times a week, and my Sunday calisthenics session became much lighter, aimed at supplemental training for climbing. I know what you're thinking. That's way too much. I know. That's why my sessions looked a little more like this. I wasn't going 100% on each session, and I tried to keep them under 2.5 hours. The aim was not to get strong, but to climb much better. Also, I started a new warm-up that turned me into a beast. My body felt weightless, my movement was fluid. I was unstoppable. But I still hadn't climbed a V8. I wanted to become one of the gym's crushers, so I started a hunt for the perfect climb. And I found it. Short, powerful, and with reachy moves. Just my style. The bad thing? The crux was a disgusting pinch. If I can just hold on to that, I think I can do it. On the first 2 sessions, I managed to link up almost everything. The third day, I asked for some beta. 2 friends of mine had done a bunch of V8s, and they told me how to do the match properly, but neither of them could get the top, so they ditched it. With a new beta and pure determination, on the last try of the session, I stuck the crux. I was pumped. There was only 2 moves left and I was gonna do my first V8. After a little over 9 months, I went from V4 to my first V8. High on self-confidence, I signed up for my first ever competition. I joined the Masters division with no chance of winning. I had only 3 months to prepare. A month passed and I got another V8. V7s were rolling in constantly. Another month and I got my first slab V6. And 30 days after that, it was the competition day. This is my first real competition. And even though I say I'm not expecting to win or there's no chance to win, I would be lying if I didn't say that I wanted to win. I just think there's no chance. So there's no expectation, but there's high expectation. The comp started and I was sweating and everyone looked 10 times stronger than me. Flashed the first one. I went on to boulder number 2 and fell. Then boulder number 3 also fell. Went back to boulder number 2 and got a zone. But an hour later, I only had 1 top and 3 zones to my name. I felt the only way I could get a top was in boulder 2. So after fighting my way up with only 3 minutes left, I got another top. But I came in dead last. I was pretty discouraged. I improved so much, but it's not enough. Only 2 out of 8? I didn't think I had a chance of winning, but last? The comp really did highlight my strong and weak points and gave me a lot of insight on how to improve, but it still hurt. My fingers were in pain, my skin was trashed, and I was mentally drained. After a few days of self-pity, I looked back at all I achieved since the start of my journey. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to even touch these boulders, much less get 2 tops. All the fun times with my friends, and the real reason I started this, challenging myself. The comp was a tough side quest, but my main goal was still to come. The year was about to end, and I wanted to close it with one of the most epic boulders I've ever seen. Pink crimps on a roof. It was the coolest line on the wall, and when I looked at it, it felt impossible. I'm not good on crimps, but it was so epic, and I only had 2 weeks left that I wanted to send it. I started projecting it, piece by piece. On the first session, I could do almost everything except the crux, but the crux was impossible. The competition left my ring finger aching, but now is not the time to complain. The dynamic move off the one pad crimp was impossible no matter how many times I tried. My time was running out. There was only 10 days left. On the second session, I practiced the crux with a different hold for my left hand. Doing that, at least I managed to piece together the second half. The clock was ticking, and doing so many tries per session was starting to pile up. I'm not gonna lie, on the third session, I was feeling heavy. After warming up, my fingers were still kind of creaky, and I didn't want to do it anymore. But there was like 5 days left, and I was gonna end this or it was gonna end me. I finally got it. And that is how I finally got my third V8. V8? Wasn't the title V4 to V9 in 1 year? Well, here's a video from a few days after the competition where I got my first V9 on the kilter board. And on the last day of the year, I got another one. Yes, it is possible to go from V4 to V9 in 1 year. And for all of those that remember, I said I had a little surprise. Well, the city I moved to is Tokyo, and the gym I climb at is B-Pump, one of the hardest gyms in the world. And Emil himself said that it lives up to its reputation. Thanks for watching one of the best years of my life. But this is just the beginning.